I've been waiting all day, ladies and gentlemen, all day to hop in some fantasy football drafts. So I don't waste your time. Let's go ahead. Let's get right in here. And I don't think we have too much time left to start drafting these Hound Dog teams. I mean, y'all know Underdog dropped this contest, I want to say about 3 days ago, and there have been so far about 30,000 entrants. So it's probably where we're going to be spending the day drafting. Just in case y'all haven't seen, this is the Hound Dog $10 buy-in, $400,000 prize pool, $50,000 for first place. Probably draft here for the next few days. They still have the Slow Puppy open. That's the $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. Obviously, Best Ball Mania is just halfway filled now, which is the $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. But this will not be available for too long. So let's get in here while we still can. And hopefully we get an early pick. Hopefully we are at a spot that we like. I'm assuming we will, but you never know. You never know. What did I say? I don't know how many times I've tried to teach y'all this. Teach you the ways. Teach you how to be good at fantasy football. You got to try hard, put in that effort, and manifest your draft pick. Y'all saw it real time, okay? Did I get pick one because I'm lucky? Hell no. Luck doesn't exist. I got pick one because I'm better than the other 11 drafters in here, and I tried harder than them, all right? So we are going to be rewarded by going Justin Jefferson there at pick one, which you love to see. But Jimmy Luck coming out. Welcome to being a flocker, my man. Super happy to see you. We got Carson in here at pick 11. 49ers collection in here at pick 8. We got Jared in here at 9. We got Relevant Rocha in here at 4. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to hang out with us. We have a donation coming out from Eli. Says, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. I have the 108, 110, and 205 in a startup draft. I was going to take Lawrence at pick 8. I mean, hell, not going to fault you at all for going Lawrence pick 8, assuming Superflex, of course. Fields is going at 9. I'm left with Lamar, Bijan, Watson, Wilson. Ooh, interesting spot. At pick 10, what I would probably do is I would actually probably pivot over to Bijan Robinson. I just updated my Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings on flockfantasy.com, and making the running back updates is damn near impossible. I mean, looking at running backs in Dynasty Fantasy Football, you have Bijan Robinson not only in his own tier, but in his own tier by a mile. So I'd probably go Bijan, to be honest. And Mike asking Lawrence over Fields. Yeah, obviously not if it's a redraft format. Redraft format, you go with the short-term rushing upside of Justin Fields. But if it's a dynasty league where we're playing for the long term, there you are going to want to go with Trevor Lawrence. But after we take Jefferson, not too many surprises. I guess Diggs going before Cooper Kupp is a pretty big deal. You have CeeDee Lamb, looks like he's falling down to 11, pick 12. But yeah, it looks like the big surprise in this draft is Kupp going at pick 6, Stephon Diggs going at pick 5. Outside of that, everything else looks pretty standard here. But Cito says, Chiefs interested in trading for Josh Jacobs. Let me pull this up to see if there's any validity for this. And of course, as I pull this up, y'all are wondering what's going on. If you don't know what we're doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is where we are drafting every single night. They're best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last year. I mean, y'all saw the video that I broke down our $20,000 winning draft on Underdog earlier this morning. But of course, we're to do this every single day until the season starts on this live stream. So if you want to draft with us, or if you want to go get in one of those drafts in the public lobby, you can find the link to Underdog in the live chat description or comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match. You're also going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Over there on Underdog is also where they have all these player props, if y'all wanted to go check those out. And Underdog is available in all these states, ladies and gentlemen, all these states. But JPC says, let's get into Pitbull draft today. Okay, Pitbull drafts, that's the $75 draft. I am willing to do that if y'all want. I was maybe a little bit hesitant just because I think the hound dog drafts are going to fill up really quickly. Maybe we could do like pitbull drafts tomorrow, the next day, the day after. But if y'all really want to see a pitbull draft today, we'll do a pitbull draft today. We're definitely going to get at least one hound draft in now, maybe one hound draft in after this. But yeah, looking at Josh Jacobs on Twitter, just trying to see if there's anything out there. There are a bunch of like weird like meme accounts saying, oh, Taylor to the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. And in reality, I don't know if that's likely. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just take T. Higgins, Jalen Hurts. It's not that good of a spot, right? Because at the end of the day, this is not a unique build. There are going to be a lot of teams that have the start of Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, and Jalen Hurts. Generally, what we are trying to do in these overall tournaments is we are trying to have a unique start out the gate where we don't have to sacrifice upside. Here, we have a start with a lot of upside that gives us a lot of flexibility later on in these drafts as well. But with that being said, it's also not unique at all. I mean, we're going to be going up against a lot of other teams that have drafted these same three players in this tournament. With that being said, we can look to try to get a little unique at the 4-5 turn, 6-7 turn to make our team stand out from the crowd. But I mean, I just have a very hard time going with anybody else here. Maybe we could go Josh Allen instead of Jalen Hurts. Even if we would prefer Jalen Hurts, we could say, okay, yeah, not too many people are going to have Jefferson, Higgins, Allen. I don't know. Okay. My man, please do not be spamming questions. Do not be spamming the chat over and over again. It just ruins the chat for everybody. But Jacobs going pick 31. Mixon goes 29. Pretty surprising to see Joe Mixon there pick 29. Yeah, that team digs Devonta Smith, Joe Mixon out the gate. I mean, they're willing to just go out there and get their guys, right? They're willing to just go get their guys. Okay. Amari 33. So Kobe goes Kelsey Mahomes stack out the gate, which a lot of teams do, but they decide to get DK Metcalf there. Say in general, if you go 0 wide receivers through the first 2 rounds on Underdog, you really are having to look at wide receiver round 3. And at that point, Metcalf's kind of best case scenario, right? But Charlie coming out with the donation. Thank you so much. This 12-team redraft. I have picked 12. Is it crazy to go A.J. Brown than Jalen Hurts to start the second round? Would pass on elite talent, but the stack is nuts. I mean, hell, obviously, I really like Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown's someone that I'm fine with you taking at 12. If it's just going to be a regular redraft format, however, I would really like to be grabbing a running back there at the 1-2 turn, whether that's Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Nick Chubb. Now, if you're going to be able to start, say, 3 wide receivers in multiple flex spots, then at that point, I think we're a little bit more likely to go ahead and take that elite level wide receiver out the gate and pass on running back through the first 2. But say you only start 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, and a flex. In that kind of format, I really want to be getting at least one of those RBs at the 1-2 turn. Okay, so now DJ Moore goes pick 43. It's always a little bit painful when you have, say, Jalen Hurts at pick 25 and then DJ Moore, Justin Fields falling to at the 4 or 5 turn. It's like, okay, I really took the elite level quarterback just so later on I could pass on DJ Moore, Justin Fields at a pretty strong value. Okay. Now Joe Burrow goes pick 44. Najee off the board. I think I know what we're going to do. Okay, hell yeah. Christian Kirk goes. So this is actually probably going to be a pretty unique start of getting both Terry McLaurin as well as Mike Williams here. Both of these guys generally go in the middle around 4, so they're not going to be paired up on too many teams together, especially if you're going to be looking at them with Jefferson, Higgins, Jalen Hurts out the gate. So I really like grabbing Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams here. Now, of course, we're going to be in play to go running back at the 6-7 turn. We also can be looking at a tight end like Dallas Goedert, so we can pair up Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts. But definitely like say Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift are both in play at pick 72, 73. Alex says that team you won 20,000 with was insane. What was kind of crazy about that? And real quick, just in case nobody saw earlier today. Yeah, the video we put out earlier this morning was me reacting to the video we made right after we drafted a team on Underdog that, of course, we didn't know this at the time, but a year later, we learned that it won $20,000. So it was a really cool video. And yeah, with that team, I had Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. I had A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. I had Brandon Ayuk. I had David Montgomery. I can't really remember outside of that. What's kind of crazy with that team is we had a bunch of like really bad picks at the end. Like our last 5 rounds, everybody was garbage except Jarrett McKinnon. And we had like literally no tight end production whatsoever. I don't even know who our best tight end was. It was like Robert Tonyan. And our number 1 quarterback was Aaron Rodgers. Oh yeah, we got Christian Watson stacked up with Aaron Rodgers as well. Love to see it. Okay. Now let's move this over. Hodgers says, kind of shows that without the insane tight end, it doesn't matter too much. Yes, but to be fair, that tournament that we won 20,000 with on Underdog, that was a higher stakes, a smaller field tournament. That was a $500 buy-in, $20,000 for a first place tournament. So if you're in like the puppy tournament, or if you're in like Best Ball Mania, right? The Best Ball Mania tournament on Underdog is $25 buy-in, $3 million first place prize. There are going to be way more teams drafted in that tournament, and you probably can't win it having garbage tight ends, right? So to be completely fair, yes, it kind of shows that maybe you can get by with some wasted picks at the very end. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if we would have, obviously, can't say we would have won Best Ball Mania and would have won $3 million with that team, right? Okay, Tyler Lockett goes off the board 65. I mean, we're completely fine with wide receivers going. We're sitting with Jefferson, Higgins, McLaurin, Mike Williams. We're in a pretty good spot. Kyle Pitts goes 67. I definitely would have considered going Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert at the 6-7 turn if we could have. Michael Pittman, 68. Nolly Polly says, did you hear that Lamar threw 4 picks at practice today? Apparently it was third. I literally could care less. Like, the last thing I want to be doing is changing my fantasy football draft strategy based off who possibly threw an interception in practice. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift. When we take Jalen Hurts here, we make a bet that this Philadelphia Eagles offense is going to be as good as people are expecting, right? I mean, right now, the Eagles project to have the best offensive line in the NFL. You have insane expectations with Jalen Hurts. Like, if you go over and look at these right now, I mean, the player props that you have on Underdog, they have Jalen Hurts currently at 10.5 rushing touchdowns. This is supposed to be an insane offense. Obviously, when we take Jalen Hurts at the 2-3 turn, the only way our team is any good is if the Philadelphia Eagles are an insane offense. So let's go ahead and let's double down. And we'll grab Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift there, 72-73. Now, Carol says Eagles are winning the Super Bowl. The Eagles definitely have the easier path than any of the AFC teams, right? I think maybe if like the Bengals were in the in the NFC and the Eagles were in the AFC, I would say the Bengals should be Super Bowl favorites. But if anybody wants to come out and say, oh yeah, the Eagles are winning the Super Bowl, I'm not going to argue against them just because, I mean, they have a pretty clear path, right? Like, they just have to get by the 49ers and maybe have like a dark horse Cowboys team or something. But if you look at the NFC on the whole, people are hyping themselves up about the Chicago Bears and Detroit Lions because it's so bad. But Sean coming out of the donation, thank you, says, hey Mason, curious if you have any opinions on the Kansas City wide receivers. Are any of them worth the last pick when Kelsey gets so many targets? So obviously it's going to be dependent on what format you are drafting in. I'm assuming that this kind of question's for a regular redraft league because obviously those wide receivers are worth the pick when it comes to underdog drafts. But in your regular redraft league, I am completely fine grabbing a couple of Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers at the very end of your draft. Just because the projection with how much passing volume should be there in KC this next year, I think that you do have a lot of upside for those individual wide receivers, even if Kelce were to stay healthy. But at the same time, I mean, Travis Kelce's 34 years old, right? So if Travis Kelce's 34 years old, there's a possibility that Kelce goes down. If Kelce were to go down, it's not like Mahomes all of a sudden is going to only average 240 passing yards per game. The volume will still be there. So, yeah, I think that they're worth a pick. I think the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver depth chart is wide open. I wouldn't be able to tell you who the wide receiver one is. I think that, I mean, Tony and Sky Moore are right there. Rashee Rice is as well. Now, personally, I've drafted more Rashee Rice just because he's been so much cheaper than the other guys in this draft, but I don't know. Now let's move this down. Rachaad White off the board, pick 85. James Conner goes 86. James Cook immediately after. So we have a very balanced team. I think we have a lot of flexibility to pretty much just take whatever value falls to us. I don't want to say too much what we're looking at here because I don't want people to snipe us, of course. Sky Moore going off the board, 89. That's the team that took Patrick Mahomes. Tommy coming out says, hey, Mace, responding to your video yesterday about running back strategy, it seemed like it was geared to a traditional 10-team start 2 wide receiver league. Does that seem fair, or could that be used for a 12-team 3 wide receiver core? Definitely that format was geared towards a 12-team league where you start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex spots. We got that from historical FFPC data. Now, with that being said, I think it is a strategy that you want to be even going harder into when you make wide receiver less important. And you make wide receiver less important by shrinking the amount of teams that are in your league, or by removing a flex spot, or by obviously removing a starting wide receiver slot. So I would agree that strategy is going to be best when it comes to 10-team leagues, 12-team leagues, where at the very most, you can only start 3 wide receivers, including the flex spot. As you get to that 12-team format where you have mandatory start 3 wide receivers and then possibly a couple flexes, then you definitely want to scale back at that point. Okay. Now, Traylon Burks off the board, 93. Bateman falling a considerable amount down in these drafts. Rashad Bateman finally off the board, 94. Dalvin goes. Dalvin Cook was actually who we were going to be looking at here. Give me a second to think, ladies and gentlemen. I think we go Dylan, and let me think about what we'll be looking at on the way back around. We're going to go Dylan, and we are going to go for a very unique pick here. If you look at how ADPs line up, very rarely is Pat Freiermuth going to be on a build like this. Pat Freiermuth almost exclusively goes at about the 9-10 turn rather than the 8-9 turn. I don't know if we're sacrificing a lot of upside to go and make this unique selection. At the same time, I'm comfortable only drafting 2 tight ends if we go both Dallas Goedert as well as Pat Freiermuth. So yeah, let's pull the trigger there. And now wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Higgins, McLaurin, Mike Williams. Tight end, we have Dallas Goedert, Pat Freiermuth. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts. And running back, we have DeAndre Swift, A.J. Dillon. But Brian coming out says, how do you feel about the 5th pick looking at taking a top end wide receiver 1, running back 1 versus Kelce? I feel like that's probably the inflection point. Yeah, so I mean, I'm completely fine if you wanted to go ahead and take Travis Kelce in a format where you can only start at most 3 wide receivers. I would say the wide receivers mandatory almost regardless of format that you should take over Kelce are Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. But outside of that, if you wanted to take Kelce, I'm fine with it. Running backs, I'm probably going to be looking at CMC, Eckler, Bijan Robinson as options that are right there in play over Travis Kelce. But outside of that, pick 5 is about the range you are looking at, Kelce. And if you can only start, say, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, tight end and a flex, then Kelce's even more appealing. But our next question coming out from Tasman says, I'm in a 10-team PPR league. I picked 10 back-to-back. Who should our first 10 picks be? I mean, obviously going to come down to your starting lineup requirements, but I'd say if you can get away with Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley in the first 2 rounds, or Bijan Robinson, Nick Chubb in the first 2 rounds, or maybe say Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, especially if you expect that you'll be able to find wide receiver values later on. Personally, that's what I'm going to look at, my man. And Magundy says, is it crazy to take Bijan at 6 in a league where we're starting 2 wide receivers and 2 flex spots? I don't necessarily think so. I mean, if you had to start, say, mandatory 3 wide receivers and 2 flex spots, and it's a full PPR format, there I'll definitely be pivoting over to wide receiver at pick 6. But I still think you can go Bijan Robinson at 6 there if you wanted. Now, after we take Pat Freiermuth, not too many surprises in terms of the selections here. Tua makes it all the way down to 102. That's a team that did not draft Jalen Waddle. That's a team that did not take Tyreek Hill. But at the same time, they do get Tua. I mean, at this point, what? About 10, 11, 12 picks past ADP. So maybe you can make an argument from a uniqueness perspective. But let's move this down. Geno Smith off the board, 109. Cousins goes 110. Obviously, Cousins in play for us when we have Jefferson. Not going to sit here and cry that we don't get him. Brian Robinson goes. I'd always be very happy to add Brian Robinson to a team like this. This is a team where we are going to be drafting 6 running backs, though. Okay, let's move this over. Riley says, how do I get my team breakdown for being a mother flocker again? My man, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. And if you are a mother flocker on flockfantasy.com and you used promo code FLOCK on flockfantasy.com, go ahead and send me the screenshots of your league settings and your league. Also, if you wanted to include your draft, you can include your draft there as well in the roster submissions tab on Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, my man, go to flockfantasy.com. Click the Discord button. Make sure you're logged into your account, and it will link your Discord account with your flockfantasy.com account. And if you signed up to flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK and you're that mother flocker, then you should see the roster submissions tab in our Discord under Mason's Flock section. So, yeah, that's how I'll just send it there, my friend, and I'll send you that personalized podcast directly to you. And yeah, just in case y'all don't know, I go through and I make personalized team breakdowns for members of flockfantasy.com that use promo code FLOCK on flockfantasy.com. Never too late. Sign up if you want to. And I mean, promo code FLOCK also gets you 30% off any subscription. And if you're a member of flockfantasy.com, make sure you put your Underdog username on your account page. That way you get a free $10 Underdog credit added into your account. Okay, let's see what this team does. I think we're on enough of a delay where I can say I really want Daniel Jones. Hopefully they don't take Daniel Jones. They went Daniel Jones. All right. We're going to go Nico Collins, ADP value. And then after that, I really don't know what we want. I probably actually just end up reaching on Elijah Mitchell. I understand why people are taking Jarrett McKinnon here. And Jarrett McKinnon was on that team where we won $20,000 on Underdog last year. But at the same time, I mean, the man's like 32. I think the Chiefs can still bring in another running back. I think Elijah Mitchell has a role on a week-to-week basis and has a very high ceiling if Christian McCaffrey were to go down. And I'm not saying CMC's injury prone by any means, but I'm just saying we have seen Christian McCaffrey get injured before. It's not like it's unheard of. All right. Now let's move this down. This is an okay team. I don't necessarily have too many regrets with the team. I don't want to sit here and act like it's the best thing ever, though. I'd have been really excited if we had Daniel Jones. But Dan says, who are some of your favorite late round picks in a full PPR format? Generally in the very late rounds in your regular redraft format, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take some massive swings on running backs that have upside rather than wide receivers, because in the very late rounds of your redraft leagues, those wide receivers that you'd be looking at are going to be comparable to guys that you could have on the waiver wire. So, I mean, examples of running backs that I'd like to grab, really like to grab someone like Elijah Mitchell. And honestly, if you can get Jamal Williams in one of the last few rounds of your league, just to go ahead and start him for the first few weeks, I wouldn't mind that at all. Like, you go Jamal Williams near the very end, just start Jamal Williams for a couple weeks. I mean, most guys that you're going to be taking rounds like 11, 12, 13, 14, you're probably never going to start for 3 weeks. Whereas Jamal Williams, you actually could. But now, after we take Mitchell, Jared McKinnon makes it down to 128. Like, there's just so much competition that could go over to Kansas City. And I hope it doesn't, because at this point, I've actually drafted a considerable amount of Pacheco in round 8. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 300 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. And of course, if we hit 350 likes on the stream, we are going to be firing up another draft after this one. And if you want to get in our next draft, promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Find that link in the live chat description, comment section. They'll match first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Plus, we'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And it's available damn near every state. Best balls to no time commitment at all during the season. I drafted 700 teams, won 150,000 last year. But in long time, remember the Flock habit to see if my man says, what's the ideal roster for our 20-team PPR format, where we're going to start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and tight end and a flex? Our keepers, oh my gosh, hell yes. We're keeping Jalen Hurts, Nick Chubb, Garrett Wilson. Should I trade Chubb or Garrett to have 2 top running backs / wide receivers and draft replacements? Go for a top tight end. Picking 19 and running backs get hoarded fast. Yeah, that was going to be my number one thing that we were going to point out, is in a 20-team league, it's almost going to be impossible to come by the running back position. Also dependent on the league that you're in. You could see quarterbacks go normally, like go later in drafts. But in some 20-team drafts, quarterbacks are going to go right out the gate, where it's a balancing act of, okay, well, you kind of need one, right? If everybody's going to go try to get 2, you may just get boxed out. The fact that we're keeping Jalen Hurts, Nick Chubb, Garrett Wilson puts us in such a position of power, in that we have a lot of flexibility in what we can do. If you could trade Garrett Wilson for a running back that you're really excited about, say Saquon Barkley, I mean, hell, who else would we be willing to deal Garrett Wilson for, specifically in a keeper format? It's kind of it, really. If you could sell Garrett Wilson for Saquon Barkley, sure, let's do it. But outside of that, my man, I think you're probably in a comfortable spot to just kind of sit on your hands. Pick 19, I have no idea what running backs are still going to be there. I mean, you don't force it. If there are no running backs that you like, definitely be willing to go over to wide receiver. And I wouldn't mind punting tight end in that format. I wouldn't mind punting tight end completely. Okay, I think we're going to take Jonathan Mingo and maybe Chark. I think we go Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark. This way we can set ourselves up with the ability to take Bryce Young as our second quarterback and have a Carolina double stack. I don't really want to take Miller there now that we know that Alvin Kamara is only going to be suspended for 3 weeks. So I think honestly he has to fall a bit for me to consider to start drafting him. If we go Mingo and Chark, we're most likely done taking wide receivers, and we get away with drafting 6 to 7 RBs. Probably not wanting to take 7 running backs, right? But I think we can go, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, Misa says, just became a mother flocker. Thank you, my man. Are the rankings your rankings, or a collective decision between the Flock Fantasy team? So the expert rankings that you see on flockfantasy.com, that is a combined rankings list of not only myself, but all the creators on flockfantasy.com. So they have my rankings there. They have all the rankings for every creator we have there. We pretty much have everybody you watch on YouTube. But if you want to see just my rankings, hit the add creator button, and you can add Mason Dodd, and you can sort by Mason Dodd. And then you'll only see my rankings, you know. So you can see it, and you could do the same thing with any other creator, right? If you want to see, say, the guys at Fantasy Endgame, you can click view creator, and then you could click, I want to see Chris's rankings, and you can only see his rankings, and you could sort by there. So you have a lot of flexibility with what you want to see, my friend. Hope that helps. Hope that helps. Okay. Now, Osborne and Viesco. At this point, we really want to see wide receivers and tight ends getting drafted. That's the main thing we want in this draft. I mean, get wide receivers and tight ends off the board. Oh, I see. Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, my man, for being a member of the flock for years now. I really appreciate you. Okay, Marvin Mims goes 154. Alec Pierce off the board as well. Okay. All right, let's see. Miller makes it all the way down to 157. Very interesting to see that fall. I mean, obviously, like I said, you'd assume that he's going to be falling a bit with the Alvin Kamara news because, I mean, there was a pretty wide range of outcomes, right? Like if you were drafting Miller around 13 previously, well, it wasn't likely. It was a possibility that Kamara was suspended 8+ games, And in that situation, I mean, you would have just been printing money with Miller. But now that it's only 3 weeks, it's harder to justify that kind of price point. Okay, Taysom Hill off the board. Great for us. Pickett goes 165. Jerome Ford 166. Zeke goes, so I actually don't mind this. I don't love it. But we're going to take Mostert, and we're actually going to take Kenneth Gainwell as well. I understand we already have DeAndre Swift on this team, but by taking Gainwell, we can maybe make a consolidated bet saying a couple different things. One, what happens if Rashad Penny goes down? Two, what happens if, I don't know, the Philadelphia Eagles just lead the NFL in rushing touchdowns? And also, this team's kind of done already if the Eagles go out there and trade for Taylor, trade for Jacobs. So we can draft Kenneth Gainwell saying, okay, well, we don't have to be worried about the Eagles trading for someone because we already lost if they did. So it's an interesting spot. And I think it's going to give us the flexibility as well to possibly take 3 quarterbacks. Now, obviously, what we really, really need is to get Bryce Young making it back around to us. If Bryce Young makes it back to us to pick 192, we're probably not going to have to take a 3rd quarterback, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Samuel 174. Young goes 175. Little painful. That's a team that took Adam Thielen, right? So, I mean, it's not like we can be sitting here crying about it. Oh, my God, why'd they take Bryce Young? Why'd they do that to us? No, I mean, it's understandable. And now that Bryce Young goes, I'm actually probably going to take 2 quarterbacks with this team just because the opportunity cost once you get to round 16, 17, 18, not really there. Right? I mean, the quarterbacks will actually score points where the other guys are just horrible. I mean, you can see that in the $20,000 draft that we did last year, but CC says, I had picked 4 and 6 in a PBR redraft, 2 flex. Are we going to go Bijan? Hell yes, my man. If you have picks 4 and 6, 100%. One of them I'm fine with Bijan Robinson. Okay. Let's move this back around. Brock Purdy off the board. Okay. Conklin goes. We're going to be most likely one more running back, then two more quarterbacks, or we're going to go, I don't know. I think that's what I want to do. Running back were Swift, Dillon, Mitchell, Mostert, Gainwell. So looking at the quarterbacks that are available as well, we could go Sam Howell, pairing him up with Terry McLaurin. We could go CJ Stroud, pairing him up with Nico Collins. And that is pretty much it for potential stacks. Obviously, there's some quarterbacks with rushing upside, such as Desmond Ridder and Trey Lance, where we wouldn't need to stack those guys. We'll see. We'll see. And we are going to get in another draft after this one, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to make our picks here at the 16-17 turn. I'm going to hop in the next draft, and I'll let you know who we take in round 18. Fried Bologna says, Mason, now that the Cardinals have signed Marlon Mack, safe to say, blah, blah, blah. Did the Cardinals really sign Marlon Mack? I actually floated the river today, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm not going to lie to you. I have not seen anything that's happened today. Let me pull this up. Marlon Mack. Yeah, Marlon Mack to Arizona. How old is he? Marlon Mack age. He's only 27. Let's see. The last time he had a season with 100 or more rushing attempts was 2019. Let's play a fun game after this. We're going to go Stroud to pair him up with Nico Collins, and then we're actually going to go Leonard Fournette as well. And then I'll let y'all know who we take in round 18. But let's go ahead and let's hop into another Hound Dog draft, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, there's 6 spots open in here. Okay, here's what I'm going to need from y'all. Can everybody go to the live chat right now, and can everybody spam their guess for how many carries Marlon Mack has had since 2019? Let me get out the little calculator. So this is 2020, 2021, 2022. How many carries has Marlon Mack had in those 3 seasons? Okay. 67, 40, 67, 43, 79, 68, 50, 43, 120, 30, 150, 50. He is at 48 carries. Obviously, the question's not, oh, okay, should we go draft Marlon Mack? I know y'all aren't asking that. Just funny to point out. And yeah, I mean, I guess Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook, they're going to have to lower their asking price if these running backs keep getting signed. I mean, Melvin Gordon getting signed. Now this. It's kind of crazy. But FF Addict, always out here with us, says, hey, Mason, thanks for all you do. It seems strange to me that all the Giants wide receivers are ranked so low. Is it because nobody knows where the ball is going to go? I mean, yeah, right now it's impossible to project the New York Giants wide receivers, right? And people in fantasy football drafts are generally very afraid of going through and making the quote-unquote risky selection. More times than not, people are just going to want to make the safe selection in their fantasy football draft, whether that's right or wrong. Now, I'm sure y'all have noticed by the way that I make my picks that safety is something I really don't care at all about. I mean, I'm going to go for upside, upside, upside. So I've actually drafted a decent amount of Giants wide receivers as of late. Like, let me go ahead and pull up how many of these guys I actually have at this point. So Giants wide receivers. I have 14% Wan'Dale. I have 10% Paris Campbell. I have 6% Hyatt, but I've actually been drafting Hyatt a ton as he's been falling down boards. He just used to go so much earlier than he does now. We're going to take Eckler here, hopefully getting a little bit of a unique build. But yeah, we have 6% Hyatt, 10% Campbell, 14% Wandale. Now, let's move this over. A.J. Brown off the board at 10. And I definitely would have preferred Bijan Robinson at 9. I want to be on record. I want to say that out loud right now, all right? I want to say that out loud right now. Okay. Fried Bologna says, I'm legit worried. Have a ton of Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette late. In my mind, maybe I'm just delusional, right? Which is 100% a possibility. I'm an idiot. I was the guy drafting Will Fuller when he never played again, but I'm almost more confident in seeing guys like Marlon Mack get signed that eventually Leonard Fournette's going to sign. Eventually Kareem Hunt's going to sign. Maybe it's not rational to think that way, but I don't know, right? I mean, at some point, they have to be on a roster. Now, Jacob says, don't know if you noticed on it, but what are your thoughts about Chase wanting Burrow to wait until a week 5 comeback? I actually did see this. Sounds like a nothing burger to me. Sounds like Jamar Chase just saying something like, I mean, there are a lot of things that I say on this live stream that you don't really think out, like fully out, right? You just say something, kind of say it. And then people take it one way or another. I mean, sounds like that's what it is. Jamar Chase just kind of talking out loud, going, yeah, I don't care. Burrow's hurt. He can come back week 5. We're going to be good. And then people maybe take it as if he's being serious, saying that, oh, no, Jamar Chase actually wants Joe Burrow to sit out till week 5. So from what I took from it, it didn't sound like a real thing. It was just like Jamar Chase willing to give all his support to Joe Burrow and knows that they're going to be chilling no matter what. At least that's how I view it. Now, we're going to go Garrett Wilson at 16. Super unique build. I don't expect too many teams to have the combination of Austin Eckler, Garrett Wilson out the gate here. Eckler, ADP of about 7.5. Garrett Wilson, ADP of about 13.5. So, yeah, if we're going to get both these guys falling and line them up, I do like it. Robert says, I've seen quite a few teams start A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. Personally, I do not like that at all. And y'all know, I mean, we just covered the team that won us $20,000 in the Bulldog 2 last year on Underdog. And with that team, I had both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on it. But I took A.J. Brown round 3, Devonta Smith round 7. I don't know if there's a world where A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith in rounds 1 and 2 wins you something serious outside of the scenario where you're able to get Jalen Hurts as well. You know? I don't know. I have not taken A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith on the same team once, and I don't plan on doing so anytime soon. Now, in that other draft, we just went Sam Howell in round 18. So the other draft, we have Jalen Hurts, C.J. Stroud, Sam Howell, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Dillon, Elijah Mitchell, Raheem Mostert, Kenneth Gainwell, Leonard Fournette, Jefferson, Higgins, McLaurin, Mike Williams, Nico Collins, Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark, Dallas Goedert, Pat Freiermuth. Jay Crush says, take Hurst if he makes it. Oh, you better believe I'm taking Jalen Hurts if he makes it to us. Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm letting that team at 10 with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith get Jalen Hurts. I mean, if he did somehow, some way, by the grace of gods, have Jalen Hurts making him at pick 34, then yeah, I'm not going to fault anybody at all for going ahead and starting off A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. But I don't know. There's a 0% or a percent probability under 1 that Jalen Hurts makes it to a pick 34. Okay, let's move this down. Lamar goes 31. Okay, hell yeah, we're going to get either Andrews or Jacobs. Marker Word says RB is king. I would say in traditional redraft formats, definitely I think running back is still the way to go if you look at wide receiver values and get in the middle rounds. Right now on Underdog, it's just so damn hard, right? Because wide receivers are non-existent in the middle rounds. A D-Man asking if we can look at some of our favorite rivals picks on Underdog. Let me know if y'all have any lines that y'all really like. I really like the Nick Chubb plus half a rushing touchdown versus Josh Jacobs, and Devontae Adams versus Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase got 25 receiving yards added on, but they took those two lines down. And now I don't know if there are too many that I like. Let me see if let me know in the live chat if any of these rivals lines stand out to y'all. I'll need to go ahead and look through these one more time, but last I checked, none of them were like phenomenal. Actually, I do like this one a lot. Drake London versus Michael Gallup receiving touchdowns. I like that. I know a lot of other people are going to like Terry McLaurin versus Jahan Dotson receiving touchdowns. You can get an extra half a receiving touchdown on Keenan Allen over Mike Williams. I'm staying away from that, but yeah, I'd say Drake London versus Michael Gallup receiving touchdowns. Probably my favorite right now. Okay, let's move this back around. We're going to go Deebo Samuel. Hell yeah, we actually have a very unique team here. A very unique team where I don't think we've sacrificed a lot of upside, which y'all know that's what I'm looking for, right? We're going to get Deebo Samuel here at pick 40. So, yeah, I mean, how many teams are going to have Eckler running back, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel wide receiver, and Mark Andrews at tight end? I really like that. I really like that. But Zach coming out with the donation. Thank you so much, my man. Thank you. And, of course, real quick, if y'all want to check out any of those rivals lines, it's the same place where we're drafting every day, Underdog Fantasy. And, of course, best ball, no time commitment at all during the year. So that's not going to replace your main fantasy football league this season. Instead, it's just some extra fun on the side. And if you want to get in a draft, you can with the link in the live chat description comment section. Promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, we'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide, and Underdog's available in pretty much every freaking state. You can see the map there. Like there are like maybe 5 states that don't have Underdog. Available everywhere in Canada, but Ontario as well. Now, Najee makes it all the way down to 45. I have noticed more and more people following along with us and taking Travis Etienne over Najee Harris at this point. Aaron says Ayuk outscores Deebo. I don't know about that, my friend. I think Deebo Samuel's access to a higher ceiling than what we've seen from Brandon Ayuk. I think the best season you've ever had from Ayuk is like the wide receiver 21, wide receiver 18-ish, like a mid wide receiver 2, where in 2021, Deebo Samuel was the wide receiver 3 from a points per game perspective. Now, Hawkinson off the board, 48. You do have Brandon Ayuk going at 49. Definitely ought to have been excited about having Brandon Ayuk at 57, right? I mean, if we could have paired up Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, that would have been great. Okay. Burrow goes pick 50. That's to the Jamar Chase team. You have DJ Moore and Justin Fields still available in round 5 now. They both finally go. I mean, they are so much better picks in round 5 than when they used to go at the 3-4 turn. Like, they are really appealing picks here. Okay, Deontay 53. Deontay's not someone that I'm looking at personally. Kirk 54. I would have taken Christian Kirk if you had made it to us. Aaron Jones 55. Ballin 23 on the clock is Bijan Brees, running back, wide receiver Waddle and London. They go Kittle. Hell yes, we're going to get Kenneth Walker. We're going to get the guy that we were eyeing down this entire time here. Hell yes, ladies and gentlemen. Lawrence goes 58. That's a team that doesn't have any Jaguars, which is interesting to see them go Lawrence there. Okay, JSN off the board to pick 60. Pitt 61. Yeah, people are willing to reach in this draft and go get their guys. You know I love to see that. Love to see it. Montgomery off 62. Depot goes Dallas Goedert. I'm going to go ahead and take Chris Godwin here. Chris Godwin pick 64. I understand, yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is probably going to be bad. I get it, but I don't know. I mean, Godwin's still pretty damn young. He was drafted in 2017, but coming out of Penn State, the man was drafted at 20 years old. So he's still younger than you'd assume. I mean, hell, Mike Evans is now going into year 9 of his NFL career. Maybe Baker's okay. You never know. But Zach says, I'm finally in a draft with you, my man. Been watching for a good while now. Love everything you do. I'm at pick 3. Hell yes, my man. Super happy to have you out here with us. Yes, Zach goes Tyreek, Henry, Hurts through the first 3 rounds. And then Joe Mixon, DJ Moore, 46-51. Really like that DJ Moore value you got there, my man. Love that. And now Alex says, who's the Panthers' backup running back? Panthers' backup running back is Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard, my friend. Okay, Cam Akers goes off the board, 67. Now, Monjad says, do you prefer London or ETN at 40 if you had the same team that you're drafting right now? Okay, so London or ETN? Honestly, ETN. I mean, Travis Etienne is one of my most drafted running backs, ADP in the middle of round 4. I don't know. I mean, he's a running back that has a skill set where he can be used on all 3 downs. He's still on his rookie deal. He's in what should be an elite level offense. I don't know. I really like it. Okay. Mike Evans off the board to pick 70. If we would have had Evans making it back around to us at 81, that would have been a dream. Mark Ward says, I can't believe Mason won that 20,000 with Winston and Robert Tunyon. As I watched that, I was literally just sitting there going, oh my God. Yeah, all these picks at the very end are garbage. Garbage. Okay, Pittman going 71. Davis 72 for the Josh Allen team. Let's see if they decide to take their first running back here. And here, let me ask y'all this real quick. Because Kay says, was it trippy watching yourself react to yourself? So the reason I had to do it on 1.25x speed is honestly, I cannot watch myself at normal speed. I don't know how y'all do it. I think I sound like the most annoying person on the planet. But if I speed myself up, I sound okay. So that's why I sped myself up. I got a sense of everything. But how was the video today? I know the concept is super cool, right? Like, there's nobody else on the planet that, A, makes content and actually consistently wins tournaments, but B, records their initial breakdown of them winning said tournament where they can go back and react on it. Like, I think the concept is awesome, but how was like the video actually played out, if that makes sense? It wasn't like a weird format. It wasn't like a weird system. I haven't had a chance to watch it because I was floating the river. So the editor got it up and I was literally on the river and made it public and stuff. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Javonte Williams here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if Javonte Williams is playing in the preseason, why the hell are people worried about this injury? I understand we can't completely ignore it, but the man's good to go. Okay. Okay, it looks like people liked it. Okay. Okay, I'm happy y'all liked it. I thought it was either going to be really good or really bad. I know the concept's awesome, right? I was really excited to make it, and I was. But Mon says, what do you think about Kenneth Walker, Lockett, and Geno stack? I mean, I like it if you get them out of value, right? I'm not particularly targeting that in every single draft. I think maybe Zach Charbonnet correlates a little bit better with Geno because I think Charbonnet has maybe a little bit of a larger receiving role than Kenneth Walker this next year. Okay. And I think for the so the $100,000 team that we had drafted that we won, we didn't make a video after we drafted the team, but we live streamed the draft. Like we live streamed the entire draft. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I would imagine it's going to be hard for me to react to like a 50-minute draft live stream for that team that we won 100,000 on Underdog with. So I think maybe I will stream that rather than trying to make it into a video like this last time. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But Overcome says, thoughts on going Bijan over Chase at pick 3. In my mind, you have to go Jefferson Chase no matter what. You have to. Henry says, do you remember what day you drafted the 100,000 winner? It's in my Twitter DMs. Somebody sent me what day it was. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I can definitely get it. Okay. D-Pole on the clock. Yeah, this team's going rogue. You have no idea what this team's doing. They go Dalvin Cook, 87. Okay, this is interesting. If we go Watson, can we get Njoku on the way back around and Donovan people? I'm actually maybe going to go Zay Flowers. We get him a little bit past ADP. At the same time, we have Mark Andrews, so I guess we can make the consolidated bet that people are right. Todd Monken actually makes the Baltimore Ravens a little bit more pass happy, and there's more passing volume than people expect in Baltimore. But George says, what do you think about the double hero running back strategy? Any better strategies based on placement? I actually made an entire video breaking this down, my friend. I mean, go back to the video that we made, I believe, 2 days ago. That just has something about idiots and running back strategies. But yeah, I mean, if you look at historical data going back to 2017, you can find that we have historical evidence to show you generally want to be taking running backs round 1 and round 2 if they can fit a particular mold. And you want to be waiting until the very end of your draft to take other RBs. Now, obviously, Underdog's going to be a little bit different. On Underdog, if you're able to get Javonte Williams at the 7-8 turn, if you're able to get Kenneth Walker at the end of the 5th round, and some of these, I mean, if you're able to get Miles Sanders at pick 69, Underdog's different. You could find running back values in the middle rounds here, but we're talking about your traditional redraft format. But Sean Egan coming out says, biggest sleeper and bust this year. I would say the biggest sleeper this year from a best ball tournament perspective, I still think that having a unique pick of Trey Lance round 18, if he were to start based off his rushing upside, I think he can be a quarterback 1 in fantasy, but that's particularly an Underdog draft pick, not for your regular redraft league. I'd say for your regular redraft league, you're most likely going to be looking at, in my mind, Elijah Mitchell as a great late round pickup, considering the fact that if you're really in a pinch, you could start him. He's going to have a role, but also if CMC were to go down, then you have someone with league-winning capabilities. And I'd say your biggest bust in like just your friends and family league this next season is probably going to end up being Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry going round 1 when he has the worst offensive line in the NFL now, when he's also pushing 30, when Las Vegas sportsbooks only have the Titans at 6.5 wins. That's a pick that I personally am very worried about. But with that being said, on Underdog, if you can get them at the 2-3 turn in a half PPR format, it's a much, much better price. Now, A to Z, long-time member of the flock says, hey, Mason, as always, thanks for your due. In a points per carry in PPR, we traded JSN, a future 2nd and 3rd, for Jonathan Taylor. Wide receivers are Hill, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, T. Higgins, Treylon Burks. Running backs are Hall, Akers, and now JT. It's a 12-team, 2 quarterbacks, start 12. Is this good? I would say if it was going to be a just regular PPR format, you definitely paid too much for Jonathan Taylor. But considering the fact that this is a point per carry league where you are getting, a pretty large incentive for you to go out of your way and grab a running back you can throw into the flex spot that can see 20 plus carries each and every week, I'm completely fine with it. But personally, I am all about paying for elite level running backs and overpaying for running backs in point per carry formats. Because let's say with Jonathan Taylor this next year, he has 300 rushing attempts. That's an additional 75 yards. That's like he adds on 750 rushing yards just based off that scoring setting. So yeah, I'm fine with it if you are really set on contending this next season and at the same time you are in that point per carry format. Okay. Now, we go Frymuth here to pair up Frymuth as well as Mark Andrews. Smart people probably don't do it, but I'm not a smart person, so I'm going to do it anyway. Zach Charbonnet off the board 109. Romeo Doubs goes 110. I just want more Pat Frymuth. I love Pat Frymuth at his price tag. Also, we go Frymuth and Andrews. We just lock in some great tight end production. Don't have to go with another tight end through the rest of this draft. Brian Robinson off the board. So honestly, I was expecting to go Brian Robinson here, but I guess we'll pivot over to Tyler Boyd just based off the ADP value. We're getting Boyd about 5 picks after ADP. It is what it is, right? I think you make an argument for a couple different guys, but let's just mix up our exposures. We need another wide receiver. He's a value, so it is what it is. But Overcome says, who's the 2023 Josh Jacobs that we don't see coming? I've had this question a lot. Y'all know Josh Jacobs last year was my most drafted player in fantasy. To be completely honest with you, I don't see a Josh Jacobs this season. Because the thing that was crazy about Josh Jacobs is he was a running back coming off 3 straight running back 1 finishes. And you were getting him in rounds 5, 6, 7, depending on the format that you were in. And he was still on his rookie contract. Can we find any running back that's coming off a running back 1 finish still on his rookie contract that's going in rounds 5, 6, 7 now? Aaron Jones? Nope. He's old as hell. Kenneth Walker? Maybe? Damian Pierce? Nope. Running back 2 last year. Montgomery? Nope. Madison? Nope. Akers? Nope. Sanders? Nope. Swift? Nope. Dobbins? Nope. Connor? Nope. Javonte? Nope. It's so hard to find that guy. I don't want to lie to you. I don't think I can find this year's Joe Mixon. This year's Josh Jacobs. I don't think there is a Josh Jacobs of this season, if that makes sense. I don't think it is. But JPC says, tell Underdog to add a chat to each draft. That would be fun to get reactions on the snipes. Would be fun. I'm assuming because obviously with these Underdog tournaments, they're super large field tournaments, right? It's a $10 buy-in, $50,000 first place prize. Underdog's number one job is to maintain game integrity. So I think maybe having chats would possibly compromise that. I'm assuming that's why they don't have it. I don't know if it would take them a long time to build it. I have no idea. But what would be really cool is if they had emojis that if someone made a pick, you could hit an emoji button and it would pop up over your little avatar. You can have reactions, but Chad coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much. My man says, I'm doing a Dynasty startup. I have the 3rd overall pick and someone is offering their 2nd, 4th, and 6th for our first rounder. Draft is in an hour. They are from the 5th spot in a PPR 6-point passing touchdown format, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, double flex, and 1 super flex. I would say no. If you can get their 2024 first round pick on top of it, let's go ahead and let's do it. But it's not going to be a super deep format. And if it's a super flex 6-point passing touchdown league, having the ability to grab Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts gives you such an advantage that if I'm trading away one of those picks, I want to make sure that they're overpaying for it. If you're looking at the advantage you're getting over the rest of the field by having one of those true elite level quarterbacks, it's so hard to find that elsewhere. Okay, let's move this back around. I like Dolchich at this price point. We can't take him. I mean, maybe that's why we shouldn't have taken Pat Frymuth. Okay. Mashi on the clock. Went Rodgers. Rodgers definitely in play for us when we had Garrett Wilson. This point, we're most likely going to go 3 QBs. I feel like Myers just always falls, and I just end up, for whatever reason, freaking taking Jacoby Myers. Let me see how much Myers I have. I do not want to be drafting Myers, but I feel like I do a decent amount. Okay, he already goes. I have 11% Myers, yeah. But I guess I don't know. I don't even want to take Darnell Mooney. It's why we shouldn't have taken Pat Frymuth, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we went wrong. We'll take Darnell Mooney. It is what it is. It is what it is. Not jumping up and down with excitement for this pick. We'll see what comes back around to us, but okay. Everett goes. Thank God, get these tight ends off the board, right? I think we're actually probably going to... Actually, I don't want to say anything right now. I'll say it. Who cares? We're probably going to take Russ if we can. Pair him up with Javonte and most likely Marvin Mims on the way back around. Never mind. Russ goes. So now at this point, we kind of have to take Rondale Moore to set ourselves up with Kyle Murray on the way back around. It's not a spot that you're too excited about, but we dug our grave, so we kind of have to jump into it. Yeah, let's take Rondale Moore and hope that we get Kyle Murray around 13. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we are about 70 likes away from hitting 600 likes in the live stream. So if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like. If we hit 600 likes, we're going to be firing up another draft after this one. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK, they'll match first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Best ball, no time commitment at all during the season. And also get our 2023 fantasy football rankings in a free trial to flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK. My favorite player prop right now on Underdog, we literally just found, and that's going to be Drake London versus Michael Gallup receiving touchdowns. Okay. Let's move this down. MVS goes. Higbee, Dalton Schultz, both off the board. Okay, we are wanting wide receivers to get drafted as well. We are hoping wide receivers go. It's going to be a team that we have to take 3 quarterbacks. We're not getting away from that, even if we take Kyler. We're taking 3 QBs. Great for us to see some tight ends get drafted. Warren goes 143. Okay, Mingo goes. All right, come on, get these guys off. We're quarterback and running back from here on out, ladies and gentlemen. We are quarterback and running back. Komet off. Algier goes 147. I definitely would have looked at Tyler Algier if you would have made it to us. I'd have been excited about that pick. I think Algier actually sees some carries even with the healthy Bijan Robinson this next season, just because this team wants to run the ball over and over and over again. And obviously, if Bijan were to go down, all of a sudden, I mean, he has an elite level ceiling. We saw him win fantasy football leagues last year. Okay. Kyler goes, so we're not going to get Kyler Murray. Adam Thielen off. Can we make a reasoning for Derek Carr? Probably not. Definitely going to be a Baker team. It's like a Baker Mayfield, Trey Lance, and God knows who else team. Okay, what are they doing? They go Osborne, good for us. Shark. Do we go Roshan? I guess we're going to go Roshan Johnson here. Kenneth Gainwell goes 154. I know we won on the way back around. I don't know if we get him. Mims goes 156. It would have been so nice if we had Russ, and then we could have just taken Marvin Mims there, 153. Jerome Ford off the board. So our guy's still here. Let's see if we get him. Depot back on the clock. They only have 4 wide receivers. You assume that they kind of have to go wide receiver here. They go Deontay Foreman. Deontay Foreman was actually going to be our guy. We're going to reach on Kenny Pickett because I think none of these running backs are better than what we're going to be looking at on the way back around. We'll reach on Pickett, pair him up with Frymuth. I mean, it's a gross spot to be in, but we kind of got unlucky with quarterbacks, right? We looked at Russ. He didn't fall. We looked at Kyler. He didn't fall. Now, if we were to go back in time, if we were to possibly fix this and see what we could have done differently, maybe we should have just gone to Sean Watson and picked 88 instead of Zay Flowers. Obviously, hindsight being 2020, you have no idea how the draft's going to go when you're halfway through it. But if I could go back in time, if I could give myself one message, I'd say, come on, man, just take Sean Watson. Yeah, you get the elite level quarterback production. Don't overthink this. Why the hell are we drafting Zay Flowers here? But, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, Overcome coming out says, what to do in a one tight end league if I reach the tight end dead zone after Waller without having a tight end? If you're in a shallow redraft format, like say you get past the Dallas Goedert, Darren Waller, Kyle Pitts range, I'm completely fine with you waiting until the very end of your draft, grabbing 2 guys like Dalton Schultz, Dalton Kincaid, and then just seeing what happens at the beginning of the season. And just going, oh, okay, well, yeah, let's figure it out. I mean, hell, we can always play the waiver wire. We can always look to see to add someone in week 4, week 5. Generally, you don't want to be, and same thing at quarterback, right? I actually made a quarterback rankings video that's going to come out tomorrow. And I talk about that strategy a bit for a regular redraft league. Once you get to a certain point and all these guys are about the same and you know the rest of your league's going to stop drafting them soon, you're almost better off just waiting until the very, very end, you know? But Adrian says, yo, I just got your podcast about my Dynasty team. Thank you so much. I appreciate your input and opinions on the team. However, you never looked at who's on my... I'm super sorry about that, my man. Shoot me a DM and let me know. Yeah, but thank you so much, of course, for being a member of the flock, and I'm happy to hear that you liked it. Okay. Now, Jeff Wilson off the board, 168. Move this back down. Jelly Pump goes Curtis Samuel there. So we are still just quarterback, running back, right? I guess maybe we can mix in one more wide receiver. What's the news on Shaheed? Unable to finish Saturday's practice. She did not finish Saturday's practice after suffering a groin injury. Not good news, ladies and gentlemen. Not good news. Tre'Quan Smith also left Saturday's practice early with a groin injury issue, but Shaheen's is far more noteworthy given the second-year wideout missed nearly a month with a similar groin injury during OTAs. Head coach Dennis Allen didn't seem concerned and suggested the injury was likely minor. Provided Shaheed is available week 1, the Saints could have one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in recent memory, with star wideouts Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, joined by Smith, Shaheed, and intriguing rookie A.T. Perry. I thought they were going to say they could have one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the NFL. I was going to go, are you freaking kidding me? Are we really trying to sell that story? But one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in recent memory, I'm fine with you saying that. Fine with you saying that. Okay, Chew Bubbard off the board, 174. Hopefully this team looks to go tight end. They have one tight end so far. Did they take Kelsey? Is this the Kelsey team? No, they only have Ursma Jr. Yeah, they probably go tight end here. They go Dawson Knox. This team only has 3 running backs. You assume they probably go RB. Mont says, how do you feel about Hodgins, Paris Campbell late? I definitely think both guys are worth mixing in these best ball drafts. I would say in your regular redraft league, there's no reason to. Now, let's go ahead and let's take Derek Carr, right? I mean, with Carr, at the end of the day, I understand we have no Saints. He's a quarterback that doesn't have a lot of rushing upside. But, I mean, we need a quarterback. We don't really have too many stacking options. Carr at this point falls 26 picks past ADP. So it is what it is. But Chad coming out says, a follow-up on Dynasty. He'll throw in next year's first, but also wants a 10th this year. And the last pick from this year, it's a 10 team. I'd say give him the last pick this year. But, I mean, the thing is, if you're trading away a top 3 pick in your startup draft, I mean, the only way you do it is if he overpays for it. That's the only reason you would have. Okay, but Zeke off the board at 180. Shaheed goes 181. I didn't want to say it out loud because I thought if we said it out loud, we'd be less likely to have him on the way back around. But when we take Carr there at 177, we're really hoping that we get Shaheed at 184 as well. But it is what it is. Not always going to happen. Not always going to happen for you. And you got to move on. Even if we don't have our stacks here, I mean, we can still advance. We can still win money. It's just not like we're not going to win the $50,000 with this team, right? I mean, I'm going to be the first person to say we're not winning the $50,000. We'll take Stafford here. I mean, hell, at this point, he is, I mean, if I can do some simple math, about 26 picks past ADP. We don't have any Ram stacks, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, smooth this over. And we are going to most likely bounce to our next draft. Looks like we hit 600 likes on this live stream. Let me show you all this draft. Like I said, I don't necessarily love the team. I think a couple different things could have broken our way that made it a whole lot better. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. Obviously, some drafts, the board will fall to you. You'll be super happy at the end. And some drafts like this, there are a couple minor mistakes that I think we made, such as drafting Zay Flowers over Deshaun Watson. We should have taken Deshaun Watson. Maybe taking Freiermuth over Anthony Richardson. But outside of those two mistakes, I'm kind of fine with what we did through the rest of it with what we were given. But let's go ahead and let's hop into our next one. Now, everybody spam the chat. I'm going to need your help on this. What do y'all want us to do? Do you want us to do a pit bull, which is the $75 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $120,000 for first place? Or do you want us to do the hound dog? This is the $10 buy-in, $400,000 prize pool, $50,000 for first place. So please let me know what draft you want to see, and that's going to be the one that we will do. Okay, so hound, pit, hound, hound, pit, hound, pit, pit, pit. Pit, pit, hound, pit, 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 pit. Okay, it looks like most people want a pit bull. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to hop in the pit bull draft here, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to get in this draft with us, you're going to be able to, most likely. There are 10 spots open. 10 spots open in this draft if anybody wants in on this action. And this kind of sucks because we were going to be drafting with only members of the live stream, only members of the flock, and it's always harder when I have to draft against y'all. It's so much easier if I ever draft off the live stream. But we're going to be here at pick 10. I mean, so we have a couple different picks from the stream tonight, right? I think earlier on we were 1, we were just 7, and now we're 10, or maybe we're 8 and 9. Who the hell knows what we were? Who the hell knows what we were? Okay. Now, let's see. And of course, as we wait to get this going, let's check out some of these player props on Underdog because they took away some of our favorite ones. So now we're going to have to find new ones. I really like the London versus Gallup receiving touchdowns. And let's see if there's anything else. Let me know in the live chat if you see any that you really like. I kind of like Christian Kirk versus Treylon Burks receiving touchdowns now that Hopkins is in Tennessee. And of course, if you want to check any of these out, same place as the drafts, Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK, they'll match first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. You also get our 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. I kind of like Christian Watson plus half a receiving touchdown versus Mike Evans. Yeah, I mean, God, I just love the Nick Chubb plus half a rushing touchdown versus Josh Jacobs. I can't believe they took that one away from us. Let's move this over. And Derek coming out with the donation says, Yo, Mace, Austin Bachelor Party is next weekend. We have the Offspring concert and Schlitterbahn. Also eating Terry Black's. Any other good recommendations? Love to hear it, my man. So I would say if y'all want a relaxing thing, I would go walk around Zilker Park. Now, the issue is going to be that it's 1,000 degrees in Austin, Texas. So actually what I do is go to Barton Springs. Go to Barton Springs, super cool, really cold water, and you swim around there. It'll be a lot of fun, my friend. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay, in that other draft, we were back up on the clock. We're going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back. Okay, Diggs goes pick 7. Yeah, you go to Barton Springs. I think you need to have that on. If you're going to Austin and you're young and want to go outside and want to go do things, which I'm assuming you do, you have an outdoor concert as well as Schlitterbahn, you go to Barton Springs. We'll go ahead. We'll take A.J. Brown here. I don't know what to do. Not going to lie to you. I don't know what to do. We'll take A.J. Brown. I was really hoping Bijan Robinson was going to make it to us, but he doesn't. Now, Lopez, long-time member of the flock, says, Hey, Mace, 10-team, full PBR, rate the team. Quarterback, we got Burrow. Running back, we have Jacobs, Connor. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Amon-Ra. Flex, we have Walker. And then tight end, Higbee. The bench is Ridley, JSN, Zay Flowers, Boyd, Kincaid, Herbert, Rasheed Rice. Any suggestions? Love the team. I would say just in general, if we were going to be making any adjustments, down there on the deep end of the bench, I don't want to be rostering a lot of wide receivers that may look like guys that you could pick up off the waiver wire, such as Tyler Boyd. You'll always be able to go to the waiver wire and find someone at wide receiver if you really need to start. I would rather utilize that roster spot on a running back that may see their situation dramatically change going into this next season. So yeah, the only real thing that I have to say, my man, is probably move off one of the wide receivers like Tyler Boyd and pick up another running back from the waiver wire. But really like this team. And if y'all don't know, Lopez, I believe last year, my man, you could correct me in the chat, Lopez started off 0-6 or 1-5 in his fantasy football league, then started watching us and came back and won his league. Or maybe got second place. I don't know. Love us. Fill us in on the details. I know it was some crazy story like that. But Joshua says 12-person redraft ESPN. I had Pollard from my team last year. I had the number 1 overall pick, 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes, and 1 defense. Who should we target? Huge Tyreek Hill fan. I would say in general, if you only have to start 1 running back, I mean, kind of is what it is. But if you really like Tyreek Hill, I'm fine with it. I'm assuming maybe this is a keeper format, considering the fact that you're saying you have Pollard from last year. So if it's a keeper format, I don't know if we're going to be able to draft Jefferson or Chase. I definitely would take Jefferson or Chase over Tyreek. I think if it's a keeper format, also you're very much inclined to go Bijan Robinson. Very much inclined to go Bijan in a keeper league. Okay, but Devonta Smith off the board there at 20. Jalen Waddle made it down to 19 in this draft, and Amon-Ra St. Brown made it down to 18. Lopez says, yeah, you're right, Mason. Started 1-6 and won the championship for my league. Okay, hey, hell yeah. We even remember the record. We even remember the record. That's awesome. Okay, so Mahomes off the board at 21 to Billy P. Okay. Now let's see. Derrick Henry goes 23. Henry found, hey, keep it under wraps. Keep it under wraps, my man. I'm sorry, Henry. I hate to do this to you. I'm going to remove that, all right? I want people to wait till the reaction. I'm going to remove it. I don't want everybody going to flood into that live stream right away. Don't want everybody flooding that live stream, but crazy that you found it, my man. Okay. So team at 1 goes Jefferson, Taylor, Hurts. I mean, I love that. I just love it. Love it. No worries at all, my man. Awesome that you found it. I just don't want everybody running into that right now. Okay. Tony says, am I crazy for having Brandon Ayuk as my wide receiver 17? The dude is literally following the career arc of Devontae Adams is unguardable, right? Okay, I'm not going to say anything about like, oh, wide receiver 17 is bad, but it's just genuinely asking, why do you think Brandon Ayuk is following the career arc of Devontae Adams? How do you get there? A genuine question. Because in my mind, I don't see any comparison. Devontae Adams was horrible early on in his NFL career. Devontae Adams is just an extreme outlier. So I don't see any parallels whatsoever, but very interested to hear what you have to say, my man. Hitman Harrison says, who are some upside running backs that you pick up off the waiver wire? In your regular redraft league, I know a lot of people are going to like roll their eyes at me saying this, but I actually don't mind at all if you wanted to roster like Leonard Fournette right now, right? Because if you go and say roster Leonard Fournette over someone like Tyler Boyd on a shallow redraft format, then worst case scenario, like you get to the start of the season, Leonard Fournette still hasn't signed. You're going to need someone to drop anyway for a waiver wire pickup. You drop Leonard Fournette, you don't even think about it. Whereas if Leonard Fournette does somehow find a dream landing spot and you essentially are just the first guy to put in a waiver claim on him because you already have him on your roster, that's personally what I'm looking to do. Now, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jacobs. I understand with Jacobs, obviously a lot of uncertainty, a lot of downside. It's a $75 buy-in. Maybe it's a little bit scary. I don't care. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to take someone that I think has access to an elite level ceiling, and that's what I'm chasing. This is a $75 buy-in, $120,000 for first place. I'm going upside, upside, upside with these picks. But Overcome says, where do you think Kamara and Javonte will climb to preseason with all the news? I think Javonte's not done climbing. I think Javonte Williams in these underdog drafts is now going to go from around 7 pick to most likely around 6 selection. I think Alvin Kamara is probably going to be around 7 pick when it's all said and done. And now Deebo Samuel, Christian Watson off the board, 35-36. Tony says, both of them got open consistently and had drops issues in their first few years. Adams was in the shadows buying some see wide receivers like Ayuk is with Debo Kittle. Year 4 is when Adams became elite. I'm rooting for you, my man, but I just don't see it. I just don't see Ayuk being Adams. It's no slight to Ayuk. Now, see what Beard does. We're going to take Lamar or Breece Hall, whoever falls to us. I mean, a super easy spot to be in, right? Okay, I think we're going to take Lamar Jackson. Maybe I kind of want to use the tie break that we have Garrett Wilson. So if we have Garrett Wilson, let's go ahead and let's take Breece Hall. Let's make the one consolidated bet on the New York Jets offense. But I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just a little bit burned by us not getting any quarterback production in the last draft. So now that we have the ability to take a quarterback that almost has a higher ceiling than anybody else in fantasy football, I feel like we need to go ahead and pull the trigger on him. So yeah, let's go Lamar here at pick 39. Okay, Mike Williams goes 41. Keenan Allen 42. Hitman Harrison says, do you think Javonte will actually be healed enough to be a fantasy RB? Javonte Williams is playing in the preseason, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I think this is like, it's like the best news you could possibly have for Javonte Williams. Nice and Blood says, currently in a $3 draft on Underdog. Just saw Javonte go up pick 67 and Kamara 73. That's interesting. Interesting. Corey says, if there's one safe bet in football, it's don't bet on the Jets. What's really funny is if you look at franchises that have just been piss poor over the past 10 years, I mean, obviously with the Lions and the Jets, it's been the past 20, 30 years where they've been absolutely dumpster fires. But I think you could throw the Bears into the past 10 years. It's just been garbage. And those are like the teams that people are most excited about this season. You know, like this is the year where all the horrible franchises, the fan bases are pumped and could not be more excited about. I mean, Lions fans are turnt. Jets fans are partying as if they already won the Super Bowl. But Najee Harris makes it down to 48. I will draft the hell out of Najee Harris if he's going at the 4-5 turn. Rex says, Bears fans are going wild right now, and I don't get it. I want to say the Bears probably have the best fan base in the NFL. Like, everybody spam the chat. Don't tell me what fan base you're from. Just tell me, who do you think has the best NFL fan base? Because, I mean, I went to the NFL draft this year, and it was in Kansas City, and you saw almost as many Justin Fields jerseys as Patrick Mahomes jerseys. And the Bears got the number 1 overall pick this past season. Like, the Bears were the worst team in the NFL last year, and people think that they are going to win a playoff game this season. Okay. Let's see what people say. Raiders, I don't know if the Raiders don't have the best fans. Chiefs, Packers, Bears, Broncos. The Broncos don't have the best fans. What are we talking about? Lions, Packers, Bills, Bears. And just saying, like, all the hate that I get by saying that Justin Fields may not be a good real-life NFL quarterback. I think he's elite in fantasy, but that he may not be a good real-life NFL QB. If you even say that possibility, people want to kill you. Like, Bears fans are nutso. Overcome says, Browns the most humble fans with how bad they've been. Yeah. I mean, I don't see anybody I don't see the Browns fan base going out there and battling for their team the way that you have like the Lions fan base doing or the Bears fan base doing, right? You're not allowed to say something that along the lines that the Bears may not be good this year. The Lions may not be good this year. If you say that, I mean, people are at your throat. If you say the Browns might not be good this year, Browns fans are going to go, oh yeah, we will. But they're not going to try to insult you. I mean, if I go out on the internet and I say that the Bears may not be good this year and Justin Fields may not be great, all of a sudden I have an army of people against me where they're primary focus and their primary objective is to tear me down as a human being and to make me feel as bad as I possibly can about myself. Like, Bears fans are one of a kind, at least in my experience. Now, Hollywood Brown off the board picks 60. Lockett goes 61. Yellow Sub asking what team I'm a fan of. I get this question all the time, and the 100% honest answer is I am not a fan of an NFL team. Now, that's not to say, oh, yeah, I don't want to be biased. I don't want to be. No, it's to say that my brain's broken. I literally can't be a fan of an NFL team. I tried 2 years ago when I lived in Tampa to root for the Bucs, but I literally just couldn't do it for whatever reason. But my beginning of getting into the NFL and fantasy football is very backwards compared to what most people do. Most people are like fans of an NFL team from a super early age where their dad or their mom introduced them and said like, hey son, hey daughter, we are Bears fans. We're going to be Bears fans for the rest of our lives. And then they watch Bears games. They really like it. They get into the NFL. They get into fantasy football and the whole 9 yards. I probably never watched a single NFL game before I drafted my first fantasy football team when I was like 10, you know. Like, I started playing fantasy football before I was a fan of the NFL. So my brain's a little broken. My brain's a little backwards. Where it's not like I had a team that I rooted for, then I started playing fantasy football. I drafted Andre Johnson and Matt Schaub on my first fantasy football team. So, I mean, de facto, I was kind of a Houston Texans fan because I rooted for them to score a lot of points. But generally, I mean, it is what it is. Aaron says, since you don't have a favorite team, which teams do you love to see lose? I'm going to be honest with y'all here, okay? Based off how crazy the fan bases are towards me and how much hate I get thrown in my direction, I may or may not be rooting for the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears to lose this next season. I mean, I may or may not be de facto a Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers fan this next year. The Bears fan base, the Lions fan base may have pushed me in that direction. Okay. Obviously, what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping that Trey Lance starts and I can just be the biggest 49ers fan on the planet. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay. Javonte Williams off 77, so we're not going to be able to take Javonte here. Yeah, I think Javonte's a round 6 pick when it's all said and done. I think Javonte's going to continue to climb. James Conner goes 78. So far we have Lamar quarterback, George Kittle tight end, running back Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, wide receiver A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson. Yankenstein says, does player news, Javonte Ridley, etc., where their ADP shoots up, makes you draft him less, understanding you're going against the teams who got him cheaper? It's going to depend on the tournament that it's in. So in Best Ball Mania, for example, Alexander Madison's the perfect guy to look at, right? Because Alexander Madison in Best Ball Mania, there are a lot of teams that were able to draft him back in rounds 9 and 10. Hell, back then he was my most drafted running back when Dalvin Cook was still on the Minnesota Vikings. So now I am unwilling, or at least not that excited, to draft Alexander Madison in round 5. But that's in Best Ball Mania in particular, where that tournament's been open since April. For example, the tournaments that just opened this week, I really don't care, right? The tournaments that just opened this week on Underdog, I'm willing to go out there and I'm willing to take Alexander Madison round 5 and 6 because that's where everybody else took him. So definitely, I do want to be keeping in mind where drafts were previously in the offseason in tournaments that have been open since April, but that's not in every one. Now, Overcome says, flex Ridley or Kenneth Walker. say honestly, early on in the season, I'm probably going Kenneth Walker until we see Ridley. But I'm an idiot as well. Now, a super interesting spot to be in. I think we're going to take DeAndre Swift and Rachaad White. So we are going to go complete 180 compared to what you're used to seeing. We're not going with the double hero running back. We're going with the double hero wide receiver. Holding down the fort, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson. The now running back, we have Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, Rachaad White. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson. And tight end, we have George Kittle. I think this is a very exciting team. I think that this is a team that is going to be extremely unique at the same time. I actually really like this team. I think it is upside. I think it's unique. Obviously, we are strongly relying on Garrett Wilson as well as A.J. Brown to be good this next season, but that happens. I like this team. I like this team a lot. Okay. So let's move this over. Now, Treylon Burks going off the board 91. Obviously, at this point, we want wide receivers to make it to us, right? We have 2 wide receivers through the first 8 rounds. We need wide receivers. Okay. Now, Sutton goes 92. Definitely prefer Sutton at this price compared to where, he was last year, especially with the Patrick news. And I'm drafting Patrick here. Okay, Adrian says not James Cook over Rachaad White. I have a lot more James Cook in fantasy football drafts this year already than Rachaad White. And at the same time, if you're looking at trying to get a unique build here, Rachaad White has an ADP of 81. DeAndre Swift has an ADP of 77. So very few teams are going to be able to have the combination of both DeAndre Swift and Rachaad White on the same roster, where there will be a lot of other teams that have both DeAndre Swift as well as James Cook. So it's more about, balancing my overall portfolio while at the same time accessing a unique build compared to the rest of the field. But yeah, in general, I think James Cook is probably a stronger pick than Rachaad White, or pretty damn close this next year. I think that they should at minimum be going back to back. I don't necessarily think Rachaad White should have an ADP of 81 while James Cook goes to pick 91. Okay, let's move this back around. We're only going to take one more running back in this draft. Quarterback, tight end, we have some flexibility with. Obviously, we know one thing. That one thing is we need a lot more help at wide receiver. A lot more help at wide receiver, ladies and gentlemen. And real quick, we're about to hit 700 likes on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this stream. Nobody else is live streaming every single night like we are. And of course, if you want to get in one of these drafts with us one of these nights, you can on Underdog Fantasy. Best ball, no time committed all during the year. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match. Our 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com, where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide, and links in the live chat description and comment section. Okay. Now, Tua goes 99. Obviously, when we need a wide receiver and when we drafted Lamar Jackson, the dream is that Rashad Bateman makes it to us. Billy P goes Evan Ingram. I'd rather have Ingram over Bateman personally, but obviously with this team, we need to go Bateman if we can get him. We have Lamar. Joshua says, do not draft Bateman. I'm friends with someone who knows him personally, and they strongly advise fading him in fantasy football this season. What the hell? Thanks for the insight, my man. I'll say if Bateman makes it to us on this team, I'm taking Bateman, but how crazy is that, right? It's like if I was friends with an NFL player and I came out and went, hey, guys, I saw that guy last week. He was eating fried chicken wings and ranch. You do not want to take him in fantasy football. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so deep hole on the clock. They were in the last draft with us, weren't they? They take Dak Prescott here. Bateman goes right before us. It is not ideal to be adding in a wide receiver that has a 6-game suspension when we only have 2 wide receivers so far. Definitely would have preferred Bateman, but I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is, right? What else am I supposed to do here? What else am I supposed to do? This will also give us the ability to go Jared Goff later on if we really want to. Okay, Beard goes Zach Charbonnet, 107. I'm not too inclined to take Charbonnet when we've already drafted Kenneth Walker, right? Okay, Joshua, my man, if you could give us some more clarity on this, I would appreciate it. You could give us a little more clarity on what you're saying there. Would be nice. Okay. Odell Beckham Jr. definitely in play when we have Lamar and we only have 3 wide receivers through the first 9 rounds. Daniel Jones goes 109. So we're going to take whoever falls between Odell and Tyler Boyd. Okay, Juju goes. We're going to take Odell Beckham Jr., pair him with Lamar Jackson. Let me show you all this draft board, and I'm about to piss myself. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. All right, much better, much better. Now, if we would have had Bateman making it to this team, honestly, we had Bateman at 106. I probably would have passed on Odell in favor of Tyler Boyd, but I mean, when both guys are there and we have Lamar, even if I'm not a massive Odell guy this next season, I guess we can't take him. We can't take him. Joshua says, feel like Odell's workload will be higher, especially with that price tag. All right, well, we'll see, my man. When we're reacting to this next year after we win 120,000, I'll give you the shout out. Give you the shout out, my man. Okay. Now, on the way back round, we're going to be looking at both Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff. We have Garrett Wilson. We also have Jamison Williams, so both quarterbacks are going to be live for us. But Thomas says, thoughts on rookies Tank Dell, Jalen Hyatt, Michael Wilson, Sam Laporta, Stetson Bennett, and Hendon Hooker for Dynasty. First-time Dynasty player, thanks. If you're a first-time Dynasty player, the number one thing that I need to be emphasizing with these rookies is they are all long shots. The base level expectation for all these players is that they turn into nothing and they are never true difference-making players in Dynasty for you. You're trying to figure out, okay, what guy, instead of having a 1% chance to turn into a true difference-making player, is instead having a 5% chance of that? Okay, so that's just baseline expectation because a lot of people, including myself, have started playing Dynasty in 2014. The first thing they assume is all these day 3 rookies, these guys that you get in rounds 3 and 4 of your rookie draft, of course they're going to hit. Of course they're going to be good. In reality, most likely they're bad. So now that we have that out of the way, I actually prefer Sam Laporta out of all these guys. Hendon Hooker has upside. Jalen Hyatt as well. With Hyatt, I think he can actually probably help the New York Giants a little bit more than your fantasy football team. He profiles to be a field stretching option that's not going to command a ton of target volume. Hendon Hooker is a little bit more appealing in Superflex, obviously, but he would have rushing upside if he were to start. Stetson Bennett's not even worth the roster spot because he has no rushing upside, even if somehow he were to start. And Tank Dell, I'm just not in on it at all. But the Bros with T coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Really appreciate it. Now, we're going to take Aaron Rodgers to pair up with Garrett Wilson. I mean, we already talked about the thought process behind this. Now we are not going to be taking another quarterback through the rest of this draft as we have Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. Goff goes 131. Okay, Phoenix on the clock. They already have 2 quarterbacks. Their quarterbacks, Watson, Daniel Jones, running backs, Chubb, Barkley, wide receiver, Watson, McLaurin, Hollywood, Lockett, Elijah Moore, and then tight end, Pat Frymuth. McKinnon goes 132. May end up reaching with our next pick. Algier 133. We'll go ahead. We'll pull the trigger on Darnell Mooney. I mean, Dalton Kincaid would have been really exciting, but we can wait until the very end of this draft and grab 2 more tight ends, even though we drafted Kittle. I mean, at the end of the day, right? I mean, we go no wide receivers in rounds 3 through 8. So, I mean, we're just going to have to slam wide receivers here. So we'll take the guy that's ranked highest scoring at ADP. Now, wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Odell Beckham Jr., Darnell Mooney. So we have the 2 guys holding down the fort and hopefully a couple guys that can give us some random spike weeks. Running back, we have Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, Rashad White. Quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. And tight end, we have George Kittle. Okay. Austin says, have a friend who knows Brock Purdy and apparently has been hitting up B-dubs 3 times a week. Drafters beware. My man. I actually do know Brock Purdy. Okay. I don't want to go through the whole long story, but essentially Brock Purdy and I are pretty close. And Brock Purdy probably drinks a handle of alcohol, a handle of liquor, once every 2 days, once every other day, pretty much. Like, he's killing 3 to 4 handles a week. Like, it's a problem. The same time, the man smokes like a chimney. He's probably ripping 30 cigs a day. So, yeah, I mean, I do know Trey Lance is on that carnivore diet. He only eats red meat. He only drinks water. And of course, he would never touch alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs. So, just want to let y'all know. Just want to let you know. Trey Lance, healthy living. Brock Purdy, living like a degen out there. All right, now Brock Purdy caught us. Brock Purdy out in the chat saying, Mason, stop lying. All right. Okay. Not 30 cigarettes today, 20 cigarettes today. All right, I was maybe exaggerating a little bit. BP says Sam Darnold, quarterback 1 for the Niners. Oh, I actually have a buddy who's best friends with Sam Darnold. You have no idea what Darnold does. Oh, dear God. You thought Purdy was bad. You have no idea what Darnold's doing. Gmail user says, didn't Trey get busted partying last year? Yeah, so I don't know if y'all saw this, but last year, right after the Chicago Bears game, there were photos and videos of Trey Lance at a strip club, blah, blah, blah. What a lot of people don't know about that is he went to get Brock Purdy out of there. Brock Purdy had been there for 2 days straight. Brock Purdy would not leave. And Trey Lance went, you know what? Well, I'm the leader of the clubhouse. I'm the starting quarterback. This guy's my backup. Let me make sure he's going to be ready for the game. So Lance went to the strip club to get Brock Purdy. As he was getting him out of there, some people took some unflattering photos of him. All right. I hate how the media spins things. I hate how they try to tell a fake story. It's just annoying at this point. Like, let's be realistic here. Let's tell the truth and stop throwing dirt on my guy's name. Yeah, Trey just looking out for his man, all right? Okay. And obviously this is a joke, ladies and gentlemen. If there's one person that's new here and for whatever reason they think I'm being serious, it's all a joke. Okay. Second year tight end Tennessee off the board. Let's see what Homer decides to do. Someone that's been sniping us all day. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. They go Dalton Schultz, the guy that we were wanting. I'm actually going to take DJ Chark. Kind of fine with a couple of these options coming back randos to pick 159. Chark's the last wide receiver I see in this tier. I really like DJ Chark, and I'm going to draft him. But Matt coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Really appreciate it. Okay, Jaden Reed goes 155. Makes me feel a little bit better about our DJ Chark selection. Okay. Deontay Foreman off the board, 156. Okay, we're going to go Gerald Everett. Everett was actually the other guy that we were looking at in the last round, but essentially looking at all the tight ends available, I was like, okay, we'll probably have Everett make it back to us because one of these teams over here took Jared Goff. So if they were going to take a tight end, maybe they go Sam Laporta. But yeah, perfect for us that we get Everett here, 159. I really like what just happened there. I really like that, ladies and gentlemen. So now, wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, Odell Beckham Jr., Darnell Mooney, DJ Chark. Running back, we have Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, Rashad White. Quarterback, we have Lamar and Aaron Rodgers. Tight end, we have George Kittle, Gerald Everett. Probably going to take another tight end in this one. But the Bros with T coming out with another dono says, HD, don't know exactly what that means, but nonetheless, thank you, my man. Quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Bryce Young. Running backs, DeAndre Swift, Damian Harris, Elijah Mitchell, Deion Jackson, Joshua Kelly. Interesting to see Kelly roster. This is something I want to talk about in general, in that if you could figure out who the tight end 2 is in Los Angeles, you would be printing money. I'm sorry, the running back 2. If you knew the running back 2 was outside of Austin Eckler, you could print money this next season by taking that guy in round 18 of every single draft. Like, I have no idea, but if you know it's Joshua Kelly and Kelly's going to be seeing touches every week, more power to you, my man. Wide receivers, Smith, Kirk, Gabe Davis, Sky Moore, Michael Thomas. Tight ends, Hawkinson, Dalton Schultz, Taysom Hill. What are your thoughts? My man, please let me know what kind of draft this is in the live chat. Please don't feel like you need to donate. I'm going to come back to this question. Let me know what kind of draft this is. Is this an underdog draft? Is this a regular redraft league? Is this Dynasty? Let me know. Let me know. But Matt says 12-team at PBR, Justin Fields, T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, Saquon, Tony Pollard, Pitts, Christian Watson, Khalil Herbert, Odell, Jameson, Hodgins, Devon A-Chain. I really like the team in general. I'll just say a couple different things. Very similar to what we looked at with another regular redraft league earlier. I would say in your regular redraft format, I'm definitely going to prefer rostering a couple extra running backs down there on the bench. I would rather drop Isaiah Hodgins, who's going to look very similar to a bunch of wide receivers that you all have access to on the waiver wire. Maybe we can keep Odell. I'm only really going to be excited about Jameson if you can put him on the IR, because if you have to waste the dead roster spot on Jameson Williams at the beginning of the season, that's going to be a little bit painful. I like the team overall, but the number one thing, not even close, that we need to be doing is dropping Isaiah Hodgins and picking up just a high upside running back off the waiver wire. But the Bros with T says this is a hound dog draft on Underdog. Okay. Thank you for the clarity, my man. I'm sorry that I didn't realize that. But anyway, going back to it, quarterback, Allen, Bryce Young. We have Josh Allen stacked up with Gabe Davis. Running back, CMC, Swift, Damian Harris, Elijah Mitchell, Deion Jackson, Joshua Kelly. Very interesting build where you usually don't see someone going with this much of a hero running back approach, and I'm fine taking 6 running backs. And I would love to hear your thought process in the live chat. Like, if y'all think Joshua Kelly is that second running back for the Chargers this next year, I have not taken any Joshua Kelly, but I can tell you for a damn fact, if he is that RB2 for the Los Angeles Chargers, he's the best 18th round selection. If Joshua Kelly is RB2 for Los Angeles, he is the best 18th round selection right now. Devonta Smith, Kirk, Gabe Davis, Sky Moore, Michael Thomas. I'm assuming that, yeah, we have a couple more wide receivers in the back end. Tight end Hawkinson, Schultz, Taysom Hill. What are your thoughts? I would say in general, you probably need to go a little bit more wide receiver heavy in these massive tournaments like the Hound Dog is. If you're going to go like Hawkinson, Schultz, and Taysom, if you're going to go 3 tight ends, I don't want to be going 6 running backs at the same time. Like, I'm fine with the 3 tight end build, but if we do that, I kind of want to go 5 RBs. Or if we go 6 running backs, I want to go with only 2 tight ends. But outside of that, definitely like the team. It's just more so from an overall roster construction perspective. I love the call, though, with Joshua Kelly because, I mean, it can be a massive one. I mean, Joshua Kelly in that instance would be like just a worse version of Elijah Mitchell, right? But you're not having to take him around 11. Instead, he's free. Like, if you know Kelly's that RB2, then you can have Joshua Kelly and get some usable weeks from him. And then at the same time, if Eckler were to go down, then obviously he has upside. I don't think he would be a 3-down workhorse or anything, but he would expand his role. Now, we're going to go Isaiah Hodgins, 178. I mean, in best ball, obviously different than your regular redraft league. Craig says, Dynasty 10-team league. Do I trade Eckler the 110 and 201 for Bijan Robinson? Hell yes, hell yes. Go do that right now, my man. Go do that right now. And Sports BFF says, are you doing another draft? I'm trying to go live and draft with you. My man, I am going to do another draft tomorrow night, the night after, the night after. I'm not going to do another draft right now. I actually have to go to a dinner right this second. But yeah, I'll be live for every single day until season kicks off. So, of course, if y'all want to draft with us or if you want to go check out any of those player props on Underdog Fantasy, my favorite player prop right now being Drake London versus Michael Gallup receiving touchdowns. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during this season. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last year. And if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Plus, we'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings at a free trial to flockfantasy.com. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really do appreciate y'all. Really hope that you have a great day and really hope that I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night.